The superhero era was crashing and fast. Marvel, once the king of the box office, was churning out forgettable sequels. DC was in chaos. Reboots, flops, and fan fatigue everywhere. The magic was gone. The genre that once ruled Hollywood was now hanging by a thread. Then came a twist no one saw coming. A misfit director, a forgotten hero, a shot at redemption, and suddenly hope returned. James Gunn didn't just show up, he showed the world how to save superhero cinema. James Gunn's Superman soars at the box office. In 2025, James Gunn releases his most ambitious project yet, Superman Legacy. It's a fresh take on the world's most iconic hero. Unlike the darker versions of the past, Gunn's Superman is filled with hope, charm, and vulnerability. Gone is the godlike brooding. This Superman is younger, more human, and deeply connected to his comic book roots. The result? Superman 2025 shattered box office expectations in the US, outperforming every previous solo Superman movie, including Man of Steel and Superman Returns. That's not even counting international numbers, which are expected to grow. It wasn't just a financial success, it was a signal. Audiences were ready for a new era of superhero storytelling, and James Gunn was officially the face of it. James Gunn, a different kind of director. James Gunn didn't come from the Hollywood elite. He wasn't groomed by giant studios. He began his career writing low-budget horror comedy scripts and eventually directing films like Slither, a gory, weird alien invasion flick that developed a cult following. His work was strange, edgy, often offbeat, but always creative. He had a style, blending dark humor with raw emotion and memorable characters. He wasn't interested in traditional heroes. He was drawn to misfits, underdogs, and the emotionally broken. That's exactly what made him stand out. When Marvel took a chance on Gunn in 2014, few could have predicted the impact he'd have. Marvel's secret weapon, Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy was a gamble. The characters were virtually unknown to general audiences. A talking raccoon? A tree with a 3-word vocabulary? A green assassin? These weren't household names, but Gunn did what few could. He made you care. Under his direction, Guardians became one of Marvel's biggest surprise hits. It was hilarious, heartfelt, and visually stunning. The soundtrack alone became a cultural phenomenon. And suddenly, James Gunn wasn't just some indie director. He was Marvel's secret weapon. He went on to direct Guardians Volume 2 and Volume 3, rounding out one of the most beloved trilogies in the MCU. His work wasn't just fun, it was deeply emotional. Characters like Rocket Raccoon and Drax became fan favorites. The Guardians weren't perfect, but they were real. And that's what Gunn brought to the table: authenticity. But his journey with Marvel wasn't smooth. In 2018, old tweets resurfaced, and Gunn was fired from Guardians Volume 3. The decision sparked outrage across the industry. Fans, actors, and even rival studios rallied behind him. Eventually, Marvel rehired him. But in the brief period he was gone, DC made their move. DC's desperate situation. By the late 2010s, DC was spiraling. Zack Snyder's vision had split fans. Batman v Superman was divisive. Justice League underperformed. The studio couldn't decide on a tone. Some movies were light and comedic. Others were dark and brooding. None of them seemed to connect with a broad audience. Then came the Suicide Squad. DC handed the reins to James Gunn, giving him full creative control over a rebooted version of the team. The result was a brutal, irreverent, yet surprisingly emotional film. It didn't break box office records thanks in part to the pandemic and its streaming release, but it proved something crucial. James Gunn understood DC's characters better than DC did. He turned obscure anti-heroes like Peacemaker and Ratcatcher 2 into layered, beloved characters, and fans took notice. So did DC executives. In a move that shocked the industry, Warner Bros. Discovery announced in the late 2022 that James Gunn would co-lead the newly restructured DC Studios, alongside producer Peter Safran. Gunn wasn't just directing now, he was in charge of the whole DC universe. a different kind of superhero story. Gunn's vision for DC is different from what came before. Instead of copying Marvel's formula, he's focusing on character-first storytelling. He's bringing in lesser-known characters, deep cuts from the comics, and giving them meaningful arcs. His Superman isn't an indestructible god. It's a young man trying to find his place in the world. His Batman in the upcoming Brave and the Bold won't be the same tortured loner we've seen for decades, but a father figure in a story about family and legacy. His version of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, is said to be a galactic coming-of-age journey, completely different from previous versions, and shows like Peacemaker prove he can turn any character, no matter how absurd, into a layered, compelling figure. But not everyone was on board at first. Critics questioned the new Superman casting. Some fans doubted Gunn's style. Was he too funny? Too irreverent? Could he handle serious characters? Those doubts faded fast, because Gunn showed he could respect the source material without being trapped by it. He knows how to modernize characters, honor their roots, and still deliver something fresh. And that's exactly what fans have been begging for. A new DC universe. Phase 1. Gunn's roadmap for DC's cinematic rebirth is called Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. It's the equivalent of Marvel's Phase 1, but with even more creative freedom. Here's what's coming. Superman, Legacy, already released and widely praised. The Authority, a morally gray superhero team that questions power and justice. The Brave and the Bold, a new Batman saga focused on Bruce Wayne and his son, Damian. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, space opera meets character drama. Swamp Thing, a horror-inspired tale unlike anything DC has done before. Booster Gold, a time-traveling narcissist hero from the future. Paradise Lost, a Game of Thrones-style political drama set in the Themyscira. Each project explores a different tone and style, but together they form a unified universe, connected yet diverse. Most importantly, James Gunn is the architect behind it all. Why this matters. The future of superhero cinema. Superhero movies were never just about action. At their best, they're about hope, struggle, identity, and humanity. But for too long, studios have treated them like products. Sequels, spin-offs, multiverses, all made to keep box office numbers up. James Gunn is changing that. He's reminding Hollywood that superheroes can still move us, that comic book stories deserve respect, that fans, especially the die-hard comic faithful, want more than spectacle. They want stories that mean something. He's also proving that you don't need a $300 million budget and a multiverse crossover to make a great superhero film. What you need are characters people care about. With Superman 2025 already breaking US box office records and anticipation building for Supergirl, The Authority, and Batman, there's no doubt DC is back. And this time, they're not playing catch-up. James Gunn has done more than make great superhero films. He's rekindled why audiences loved them in the first place. By turning overlooked characters into fan favorites, he's rebuilding trust with fans that Marvel once had and lost. With DC's future in his hands, Gunn isn't just shaping a universe, he's helping save the entire superhero genre.